6. Our hashtag Citi CBS. Godfred and Kojo are in the studio. Gentlemen.
Yeah.
Good morning.
Good morning, Bernard. How are you?
I'm looking forward to the show, man.
You're looking good, man.
It is the glory of the Lord.
Tie no.
Yes.
But Bernard, speaking of which, this morning I just want to bring something to the attention of the contractors at the Obechebi runabout. Due to the nature of the work, they've created a room for U-turns. And this morning on my way to the office, there were taxis that were using the space in front of the auto shop there, the Stallion Motors, the Kia and whatever, to do U-turns. So when they get to the junction, instead of going round the runabout,
they'll do a U-turn.
They simply do a U-turn right there.
You can foresee problems.
Yes, you can, immediately.
You can foresee a lot of problems.
So police and the contractors who are there, please, this one quickly.
Don't allow
seal it.
People to use your leniency to become your weakness.
Yeah, seal it. I think last night they forgot to close that space after work. So
and taxi drivers are taking advantage.
Taking advantage quick. So this morning they should just deal with it.
All right. So let's start with headlines.
Yes, big headlines all over, Bernard. Front page of the Daily Graphic: Duffour Asiama Amoabing, others halt before court. GES revises promotion process. Teacher unions hail move. Brain blood vessel malfunction cases rise. Statistical Service sets June 28 for census.
Now, if you check the front page of the Ghanaian Times, fallout of banking crisis, Kwabena Duffour, ex-BOG deputy governor, 6 others charged over fraudulent breach of trust, money laundering, among others. Let's compile new voters register now. This is according to MAC. And government to prioritize tertiary education, president speaking. Kofi Amoabing, 5 others slapped with 42 new charges. Now, there is good news for the Eastern Corridor Road. Ghana and AFDB have signed an $81.6 million loan agreement. And there is even better news. There is even better news for me and my people. Free Crop Development Authority to develop cashew farming. This is the president assuring the chiefs and people from my area.
Front page of the Daily Guide is filled with Duffour and bank issues. Duffour Asiama charged with 5 billion Ghana Cedi fraud. Fresh charges for Amoabing. Bagbin assures Nana comes with a photo of Alban Bagbin in a handshake with President Akufo-Addo.
Now, the Chronicle: we want new register, says Mass Action Committee. Ofo Swampofo challenges adoption of witness statement, and NDC pulls out of vigilante talks.
Front page of the Daily Statesman: group demands new flag bearer for NDC as JDM goes into hiding over Airbus bribery scandal. That bank story is also here. Duffour Asiama, others charged for stealing, money laundering, and president urges Ghanaians to take interest in national security. Sound advice.
Yes. Now, the New Crusading Guide: Duffour, 7 others charged. NPP Doma East executives fight MP, and minority wants environment minister arrested and prosecuted over missing excavators.
Front page of the Graphic Showbiz has some good news. Hooray! Keteke and Side Chick Gang finally make it to Netflix. They're adding to the growing number of Ghanaian movies on the streaming service. I'm choosy with who I collabo with. Amachidede.
Now, the
big story.
Business Finder: investors reaffirm confidence in Ghana's economy. Workers' plight improving, TUC, but ICU disagrees. And get competitive to maximize after business benefits.
CitiNewsroom.com: anti-Galamsey fight hasn't been lost. This is the IMSIM, the Interministerial Committee, saying. Meanwhile, Kenasigbe says missing excavators due to government negligence. Also, Kwabena Duffour not hiding from police is available, says his lawyer. Mahama accuses MPP of gagging teachers. And anesthetists suspend nationwide strike. Now, this is a very troubling one. We receive 200 prank calls every hour. This is the Ambulance Service Dispatch Center. 200 prank calls every hour. Meanwhile, NDC Rise to Peace Council requests further meetings on roadmap to end vigilantism. CitiBusinessNews.com: auction proceeds won't be enough to pay us depositors of collapsed financial firms. Also, Amoabing, 2 former BOG officials, 3 others charged over UT Bank's collapse, and will boycott approval of agreement for inflated Pualugu Dam project. This is the minority in Ghana's parliament. MyJournalline.com: lead story: Kolebu records 2 suspected coronavirus cases. Also, state charges Kofi Amoabing, Asiama, UT Holdings, and 3 others over UT Bank's collapse. And We will address NDC's concerns about anti-vigilantism accord. This is the Peace Council. The Pualugu story is also here. Minority accuses government of bloating cost of $360 million Pualugu Dam. Now, let's get into a few other stories. Globally, the big story, Trump acquitted in an impeachment trial. President will stay in office after a historic 3-week trial. This is the Washington Post lead story. BBC leads with the same story. Trump acquitted by Senate in impeachment trial. So there are very many write-ups on this, and we'll talk about that later on during the show. So, gentlemen, let's start with our own version of big story.
Banking.
Yes.
Front page of the Daily Graphic story, and its details on page 16 of the paper. However, Duffour Asiama are being others hauled before court. The state has charged the former finance minister, Dr. Kwabena Duffour, and 7 others with 68 counts for the roles they allegedly played in the collapse of Unibank. The 7 are Dr. Kwabena Duffour II, the son of Dr. Duffour, who was the chief executive officer of Unibank, Dr. Johnson Pandit Asiama, a former second deputy governor of the Bank of Ghana, Ekonya Kundazi Dennis, the chief operating officer of the bank, Elsie Danswachre, the executive head of corporate banking, Jeffrey Ammon, a senior relationship manager, Kwejo Puku Okun, the financial control manager, and Benjamin Ofori, the executive head of credit risk at the bank. Also facing charges over the issue is the entity Holder Holdings Limited, the majority shareholder of Unibank, which is said to be controlled by Dr. Duffour. Now, according to the specifics, Bernard, the Attorney General has accused Dr. Duffour, was a shareholder of Unibank, of contributing to the collapse of the bank by dishonestly receiving 663 million Ghana cedis from the bank. Dr. Siama has also been named as an accused person on the charge sheet signed by the Director of Public Prosecutions, Mrs. Ivona Takra Obobisa, and filed at the Accra High Court. It is the case of the AG that even though Unibank was in financial distress, Dr. Siama allegedly used his position as the second deputy governor of the BOG to approve the transfer of 300 million Ghana cedis, which was an unsecured credit facility from Unibank to the Universal Merchant Bank.
Well, the other story here, which just has another name, is from Citi Business News. The state has dragged a former deputy governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Johnson Asiama, whose name you just mentioned there, and the former head of banking supervision, Raymond Amanfu, alongside the founder of UT Bank, Kofi Amwabing, to court over the actions surrounding the collapse of UT Bank. The other persons joined to the suit include Catherine Johnson, former head of Treasury, who has also acted as head of corporate banking of the bank, Robert Kwesiama, a former general manager of corporate banking of UT. UT Holdings Limited, a holding company that held shares in UT Bank, has also been charged. The 6 accused have together been slapped with 42 counts of charges, including fabrication of evidence, the deceit of a public officer, abatement of crime, namely fraudulent breach of trust, causing financial loss to the state, among others. Now, let's quickly say that the fresh suit slapped on Amwabing followed the state's discontinuance of an earlier trial commencement at a circuit court against the founder and former CEO of the bank. So there's a new suit.
Yeah, the Ghanaian Times and the Finder have the same stories, but the same angles that you've covered. So maybe I should move on to something else in court.
Galamsey.
Let me stay in court before we go to Galamsey. Now, the Ofosu-Ampofo case accused challenges adoption of witness statement.
Okay.
This is the Ghanaian Times. Now, Malik Suleimana writes that lawyers for Samuel Ofosu-Ampofo, chairman of the NDC, have filed an appeal to challenge a ruling of the High Court to adopt a witness statement on January 29, 2020. Now, the Commercial Court Division 1 of the Accra High Court, presided by Justice Samuel Esiedu, admitted the witness statement of Benjamin Osei Ampofo J against the wish of Mr. Tony Later, counsel for Mr. Ampofo, who is charged with conspiracy to commit crime and harm on public officers.
Well, still on court cases, there's a one on My Joy Online. Court adjourns ex-Beige boss trial. So that's to give you an update on that case. This story is originally sourced from the Ghana News Agency, and it reads: the prosecution in the case involving Michael Nyinaku, former defunct Beige Capital boss, on Wednesday prayed the court for more time to file documents they intended to rely on for the trial. ASP Emmanuel Nyamiche told the court that the prosecution promised to file the documents on time, but have not been able to do so. He said, we're therefore praying the court for a short date to complete the process. The court, presided over by Emmanuel Lesando, told the prosecution that if the documents were ready before the agreed date, they could file and notify the defense. So the court adjourned the trial to March 5, which is a month from today. Now, the other big story is the missing excavators.
Yes, and on page 3 of the new Crusading Guide, the minority wants the environment minister arrested and prosecuted over the missing excavators. Now, the story says the minority in parliament has called for the arrest and prosecution of the environment minister, Professor Kwabena Frimpong Boateng, over some missing excavators They say it's not enough that the Central Regional Vice Chairman of the NPP, Ekousi, is the only one who has been arrested. Minority spokesperson of Mines, Adam Mutawakilu, said the minister breached the Mining Act when he gave the NPP Vice Chair the responsibility to move the excavators when the law states clearly who should take responsibility for them.
Still on this story, missing excavators due to government negligence. Ken Ashigbe, who is the leader of the Media Coalition Against Legal Mining, he slammed government for failing to devise stringent measures to ensure the safety of excavators that were seized by operatives of Operation Vanguard. Speaking to Citi News' Umaru Sandamado on Wednesday, Mr. Ashigbe wondered whether these seized excavators, which were reportedly carted to designated areas for safekeeping, were monitored by the police. Now, his comments come in the wake of the arrest of some individuals over some of the missing excavators and other seized equipment. But still on this story, anti-Galamsey fight has not been lost. This is from somebody who works for the IMSIM. Leader of the special team set up by the Interministerial Committee on Illegal Mining to monitor, investigate, and arrest persons involved in illegal mining, Nanaya Obodu, says the team will expeditiously investigate and make sure that everyone involved in illegal mining is brought to book as it probes the issue of missing excavators. According to him, the issue will be treated as important and no cover-up will be entertained. Speaking to Eyewitness News, he said the battle has not been lost in the fight against Galamsey, though the government has been fighting the battle for the past 3 years. He then gave some interesting numbers we'll go into. He says that from 1st August 2017 to January 20th, 2020, they had managed to confiscate 315 excavators. This number is lower than what the minister mentioned. And he says of those 315, 127 were in various parts of Accra. The others were expected to be in Obuasi and Takwa, but he could not mention the number. So there's an issue there in relation to where the excavators are. We are still looking for them.
Yes. Now, can I take you to Rhodes?
Why not?
Yes. So, center spread of the Times. Ghana AFDB signed $81.67 million loan agreement to finance the Eastern Corridor Road Phase 1.
Which part?
Phase 1.
The Eastern Corridor, there are like 5 blocks.
I'll give you the details. Now, there's a picture of Deputy Finance Minister Abuna Osayasari
Brutal.
In a handshake. Yes. Now, the story says the African Development Bank yesterday in Accra signed an agreement with the government to commit an amount of $81.67 million meant to finance the Eastern Corridor Road Development Project, Phase 1. Now, the Phase 1 of the project covers the construction of roads and community development along Duffour Asiama to Asikuma Junction, 39.2 kilometers.
Adidome to Asikuma Junction. Okay.
Asuchari to Aveime, 23.9 kilometers, and the construction of 2 interchanges at Duffour Asiama and Asikuma Junction.
But sorry, the second place you mentioned is not Eastern Corridor. Aveime to where?
The thing said Eastern Corridor Road Development Program Phase 1. And it's meant to link Accra with the northern Ghana.
No, I agree. I mean, the first one you mentioned is Eastern Corridor, but you mentioned the second road.
Asuchari to Aveime.
Asuchari to Aveime. Okay.
Yes.
But it's, it probably
So the concept of the project is to link the Eastern Corridor to other communities around.
I get you. And that's a nice rice area.
And briefing the media before the signing ceremony, Mrs. Abuna Osayasari, Deputy Minister for Finance, said the government was committed to the development of roads in Ghana to accelerate the economic development and therefore has a comprehensive program for the development.
Did they tell us when the road construction will start?
No, the story doesn't come. But Mr. Anthony Carbo spoke, so let me read what he said. Mr. Anthony Carbo, Deputy Minister for Roads and Highways, said since the President declared 2020 as the year of roads, the ministry was willing and ready to mobilize both internal and external resources towards the development of roads in the country. What I know is that we can easily get this document from AFDB and the government.
Very good. Meanwhile, there's another agreement. Ghana signs MOU with Israel to fight cybercrime.
No, hold on there.
Okay.
More roads.
Road, okay.
Yes.
Road.
New crusading guide. 5 critical roads in Upper West region penciled for construction.
Pencil.
Now, yes.
I think they should pen it because pencil you can use have to clean it.
But it says that 5 roads in the Upper West region have been scheduled for construction this year under the government's critical roads project. The projects include the 31-kilometer Wabulenga Yala Road, the 56-kilometer Fian Isa Wahabu Road, the 41-kilometer Wahabu Funsi Yala Road, and the 20-kilometer Wachalga Road, as well as the 22-kilometer Wahan Road. When completed, it will open up the region for massive economic activity, thereby improving the lives of the people in the area. Now, the Roads and Highway Minister, Mr. Makwata, provides some interesting statistics about roads in that part of the country. He says that they have a road network of 3,607 kilometers, out of which 540 is paved and 344 graveled and at earth stages. He also complained about potholes in the area. He said on his way to the region.
Charlie, what's that?
He said on his way to the region through the Damongo Solawa Road, he was amazed at the number of potholes, adding that he has since directed the chief executive to dispatch the mobile maintenance unit to patch the potholes.
This doesn't make sense. So does he need to use a road before he dispatches people to fill potholes? Where isn't there a pothole patching program? Who's working? This is just showmanship. So okay, that means he has to drive on all roads with pothole before he can direct.
74,000.
What kind of method is that? It doesn't make sense to me.
I need him to drive in front of my house.
Now that you've used the road, then you direct. What kind of leadership is that?
I need him to drive in front of my house.
You have set up a system so that there's routine maintenance. You won't ensure that things done. Then when you drive to a place, then you say when you were coming, the potholes were many, so I've called the people. Okay, then come to Medina too. There are potholes there.
You should drive in front of my house.
Yeah, this is not. I'm not impressed.
I need him to drive in front of my house.
Boycott approval of agreement for inflated Poalugu Dam project. The minority in parliament. This is citibusiness.com. The minority in parliament has served notice. It will boycott all activities related to the approval of agreement for the construction of the Poalugu multi-purpose dam. 3 agreements on the dam amounting to $993 million.
Wow. Dollar.
I'm not sure if is it 993 or 99.3? I don't know. 993 million, yes, are currently before the House pending approval. But the minority side wants government to suspend the deal immediately. They resisted the approval process before Parliament went on recess last year to allow for the requisite due diligence to be done. Addressing the press, minority leader Haruna Idrisu said the cost of the project had been inflated and padded. You see, when we were discussing the Hansard in 2011, the people in government now, they were talking about value for money. Hackman also Ajiman, what's the other one? The guy who is the Minister for Parliamentary Affairs. They're talking about rushing the deal, due diligence, value for money.
Yes.
Good. Now, and the people who were in opposition said everything is nice.
Go away.
Now, minority leader Haruna Idrisu said the project had been inflated and padded. He says Poalugu Dam of Nanado and Bawumia is 3 times bui, 3 times best practice, 3 times established figures globally, and it can be 4 times padded with fraud. And we demand as a minority that we will not accept this. No one should expect that the minority be part of this process. Same thing the minority said in 2011. We will not be part of the process of buying the Embraer.
The Airbus.
It's like a game we are playing. Close to $1 billion is expected to be used for the entire project, with the minority raising concern about the electrical generation component, which is estimated to cost about $300 million to generate 60 megawatts of power. The Poalugu multipurpose dam is a 60 megawatt facility that's expected to cost $366 million. However, when it is combined with the irrigation component of the dam, the entire project is estimated to almost $1 billion. The Poalugu Dam, according to the president, is expected to avert perennial flooding caused by the split of the Bagre Dam. It will consist of 3 main components: a hydro power plant, a solar farm, and an irrigation scheme covering an area of some 25,000 hectares. Kojo, let's make some time and look into this today. I think it's an important conversation, because for the record, we need to know and inform people where the real facts are. So we'll get into this later on.
Please, let me take you to the seat of the government. The president is speaking, and this time he was talking to people from the Drobo traditional area. There's a picture of Okoche Dom Sechiakon, the leader of the delegation, and the president says, the story says, cashew business in Ghana will soon be given a major boost with the establishment of the Tree Crop Development Authority. President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo has assured. According to him, the authority, which was established by an act of parliament last year, would help develop cashew farming, just as Cocoa Board has over the years helped develop the country's cocoa industry. Yeah.
Well, let me give you a story from the Daily Statesman. The president says he's urging Ghanaians to take an interest in national security. President Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo has urged Ghanaians to individually and collectively take serious interest in issues of security concerning the country. He said events happening in our neighboring countries should be of great concern and worry to us all, and this should guide against their spillover to Ghana. Also be part of the security system of the various communities and regions in particular, and Ghana as a whole, to ensure that peace and tranquility prevail to promote socio-economic development of the country. Now, he was speaking when he paid a courtesy call on Naf Hussein Isaidu Pelpo, Paramount Chief of the Walla Traditional
I'll just give you
area.
a quick one on agreement. Ghana signs MOU with Israel to fight cyber crime. Stories on citinewsroom.com. The Minister of Communications, Esla Owusu Ekufo, has signed 2 memoranda of understanding with the government of the State of Israel and head of Israel National Cyber Security Directorate to boost cooperation to strengthen the cyber security between the 2 countries. The MOU, which was signed at a 3-day Cyber Tech Global 2020 conference last week in Tel Aviv, is also to focus on cooperating to strengthen cybersecurity and cooperate between the two countries in the field of telecommunication, post and information technology. The irony here is that our electoral commission says the Israeli companies of managing its database is not transparent and it's too expensive. Yet we have gone to Israel to sign something with their state. But I'll leave that for now. Let me just go. I mean, just to let you know, because we are told that the company, STL, right?
Yeah.
It's an Israeli company. It's a large company.
Yeah.
And you know, a lot of these company to country deals, you need the country to also support. So while we are terminating the STL one, we are going to Israel to sign 2 new ones. That's cool. Trump acquitted by Senate in impeachment trial. A huge story globally. And I'm just going to give you some quick headlines. The BBC's reporting that President Donald Trump has been cleared in his impeachment trial, ending a congressional bid to oust him from office that bitterly divided the U.S. The Senate, run by the president's fellow Republicans, voted to acquit him 52-48 on charges of abuse of power and 53-47 on obstruction of Congress. Democrats charged Mr. Trump in December with pressuring Ukraine to smear a potential White House rival. The vote means Mr. Trump will remain in office. In November, he will become the first impeached president to seek re-election. Because don't forget that Clinton, when he was in his second term when this happened.
Yeah. Well, let me also give you one story. This is from East Africa, page 5 of the Daily Graphic. Kenya to repatriate students from virus hit China. Kenya plans to repatriate its 85 students who are stranded in China's Wuhan city, the epicenter of the coronavirus outbreak, and quarantine them on their return home. The country's health administrative secretary told Parliament's health committee that the evacuations will be done once China lifts the lockdown in the city.
Well, my journal is reporting that 2 suspected coronavirus have been reported in Kolebu. Story is written by Jerry Modi. It says 2 foreign nationals on Wednesday reported at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital having developed some symptoms suspected to be coronavirus. The patients, a Chinese and an Argentine, who had been living together in the country for some time, or some days rather, have been isolated at the facility while blood samples taken have been sent to the Nguchi Memorial Institute for Medical Research for further analysis. Greater Accra Divisional Secretary of Ghana Medical Association, Dr. William Ba, revealed on PM Express, and he said the Chinese left the home country for Ghana sometime in September 2019, while the Argentine, who was in Shanghai, joined the Chinese in January. They've developed some symptoms that fit the case definition, but it doesn't mean they have the disease. He clarified.
Apparently, Noguchi is carrying out some
another
tests.
round of testing is expected to be conducted on the 2 nationals today, which is Thursday. And so we are keeping an eye on that story.
Now, Bernard, let me give you a final one. Nobody eats GDP. This is the AFDB president.
Hey.
Yes, the story says Africa's economies are growing strongly, but growth alone cannot meet the needs of the continent's poorest citizens because nobody eats GDP. The African Development Bank's president said as he unveiled the bank's flagship economic report on Thursday.
Okay.
According to him, growth must be visible. Growth must be equitable.
Thank you.
Growth must be felt in the lives of the people.
Bohobio.
And Africa's economies have been reporting growth. But according to him, if that growth is not felt in the lives of the people, that growth means nothing.
Who is that? What's the name of this guy? I like the way he's
talking. He's Akinwumi Adesina, and the story is
man, the
reported by the Business Finder. Yeah,
big one. Before we go, hybrid e-waste energy pilot project in Ashanti region to improve sanitation, and you should be happy about this. A groundbreaking 400 kilowatt hybrid waste to energy pilot project is being undertaken at Jankoba in the Ashanti region. It is meant to improve sanitation by converting ever-increasing municipal solid waste into energy for productive use and contribute to sustainable development. The project will also install a novel hybrid waste-to-energy treatment facility in Ghana that combines solar PV, biogas, and pyrolysis technologies to treat and generate power. Powerful, powerful story. Thank you, gentlemen. That's all we have time for the newspaper review. Coming up next is the Citi Business News.